has been abused for business growth and improved tax compliance. Mr. Speaker, Right Honorable Speaker, the tax refund account has been abused in recent years. In the last 8 years, a study revealed that 29.1 billion Ghana cedis had accrued to the tax refund account, with only 12.5 billion Ghana cedis, representing 43% of total accrued amount, being used for tax refund purposes. Mr. Speaker, the study also revealed that 16.6 billion Ghana cedis, representing 57% of the total amount accumulated in the tax refund account, was misapplied. Mr. Speaker, which is a total violation of the Revenue Administration Act 915. And
they also introduced a lot of hidden taxes. They talked about abolishing taxes. Yes, of course, we all in our manifesto agreed that certain taxes ought to go. If we had one power, we promised that we're going to abolish E-levy. We promised that we're going to abolish COVID levy. We promised that we're going to abolish betting tax. We all said we're going to remove it. So
the betting will have two stream of taxes. So we have the gross gaming revenue tax, then we have the withholding tax. For the first month that we implemented, we got average for the GGR, average about 20 million a month for the Mercedes, 20 million. Then for the gaming, we've started for the withholding, we've just started the season, the betting season. So the lean season, we're doing around 15 million cedis. We're hoping this will quadruple in the major season, and the major season for the betting is from this month up to May. So maybe when we get to December, we'll be able to give you the expected. We will be able to project the expected revenue.
Has been rendered. I mean, the law that allows for this 1.5% tax to be imposed on those in that industry is just about being rendered otious with the coming into force of this gold board law. Yes, Mr. Speaker, they should not do that. They are mischief. We know them. You are bringing this gold board, and you know that because you are introducing this gold board, which gold board is going to be a regulator.
I recognize the chairman of the committee.
Mr. Speaker, with respect, is it the case that he is supposed to come in? I just want to know.
But he is the chairman of the committee. He presented the committees with us.
With respect, I just needed clarity from you.
Yes.
Okay, so he's up on a point of order.
Yes.
Is that the case?
Yes.
Very well. Very well.
Yes. Mr. Speaker, I just wanted to correct an anomaly that my leader is stating here. The gold board does not impose taxes. This is about a bill that was imposing taxes that we are removing. The gold board bill is to set up the gold board, but not to impose or remove taxes. I just wanted to make that clarification. Sure. Thank you very much.
Mr. Speaker, I repeat the point that with the coming into force of this gold board law, this very law that is being repealed will be rendered odious. So nothing is being done in real terms. Practically, this government is not doing anything. We want to see proper exemptions being granted to the industry players. And we want to see that in the gold board law, which is coming. That is where we want to see. But we are also aware that there is this special import levy extension from 2025 to 2028. Yes, we know. So you see this attitude of attempting to give one, take more, give one, take more. Just like the
well, thank you very much, my dear daddy. Right Honorable Speaker, the enormity...
Honorable Samuel Okujatu Ablakwa, you can't address me that way. I can address you as my son, but if you are to address me, you have to say, Mr. Speaker.
Well noted and well guided, Right Honorable Speaker.
What a shame. Government is broke, government is broke. But people are spending billions to go inside the government that is broke. Have you ever seen a minister who resigned because government is broke before? Government has no money. Have you ever seen a governor who said, ladies and gentlemen, when I was elected, I thought the government had money. Now I discover government has no money, I resign. Have you ever seen it? Government has no money, but they are bringing money out at election time. Where is that money coming from? So they are lying. What is happening is that there are two types of wicked people in government. Type 1, they eat current money. Any money they find in government, they will eat it. They are wicked about that one. There is type 2. Type 2, they eat current money and future money. They will say, my term will end next year. When I leave, how will I eat money? Let me borrow money now and borrow money of the future and eat it now.
Good morning, welcome to the show. This is Good Morning Ghana on Metro Television. My name is Aldo Moro. Today is the 3rd of April, 2025, and today indeed is the day the Lord has made. We're grateful. We're still alive and kicking. We're back here to join the nation's conversation, what's happening in our dear country, Ghana. I'll kickstart, as usual, by looking at the front page of the newspapers, and I'll start with the Daily Graphic. The Daily Graphic this morning is reporting that E-levy, betting, emission taxes scrapped. President assents to bills. MIF to increase royalties collection. And as government moves to track excavator imports. Address issues affecting teachers by April 30. NAT tells government. The Daily Guide. World Bank slaps government over mass dismissals. Mahama scraps E-levy betting tax. ECG container scandal sparks blame game. Opinion. Galamsey fight. Yamutu. Ahmed Swaleh killer charges amended, denied bail. The New Crusading Guide. Mahama assents to bill abolishing E-levy, betting and emission taxes. OSP arrests Goding Asaribediako. Ashinikwe accused of terrorizing Damfa Ado Taiman residents with land guards. Asamankesi Circuit Court remands 5 suspects over alleged gold robbery. Fete Salt Industry fights police officers over alleged collusion with land guards in Kasua. Claudia Kwati Lumo deliberates on affirmative action at Women's Leadership Forum. An MPP MP demands transparency on suspicious flight linked to drug trafficking. The Inside newspaper. Nuisance taxes scrapped at last. Akufo-Addo's E-levy, betting tax, emission levy, no more. Dr. Megashi slams government over exclusion of herbal medicine in 2025 budget. Government backs family health universities growth in medical training. English Adanse clan jabs guard over unlawful chief induction. President Traore of Burkina Faso survives assassination attempt. GIPC unveils 24-hour service for investors and clientele. The Daily Post. GRA orders immediate removal of E-levy following Mohammed's assent. Promise delivered as President Mohammed signs bills to abolish E-levy, betting tax and emissions levy. All deducted E-levy must be refunded immediately. GRA wants charging NTT. So that's it for the front pages of the newspapers. When we come back, I'll be letting you in on my guest shortly.
Anti-cavity, gum protection, brighter teeth, and fresh breath.
I'm a fair missy way.
The patch of Bantama.
Matasi.
That's a cycle.
It's her smile. The fresh breath.
Me, Jidisa, we use to Cal 360 toothpaste. Samikai.
Cal 360 toothpaste.
That's Kia. Cal 360 toothpaste. It's a gum protector. What name Jom Kasan Kasan Kasan? You know what I'm saying?
Cal 360 did the work. Its cool mint gives me fresh breath and your confidence booster.
You so feeling when you know Cal 360 toothpaste.
Happy smile.
Cal 360 toothpaste, anti-cavity, gum protection, brighter teeth, and fresh breath. Cal, happy smile. This advert is FDA approved.
Look around.
Home also need a makeover.
Oh, mine clearly does. So we went to Ashroom and found the Como collection. It had everything we're looking for and more. Matching furniture for the entire home, designed with you in mind.
Where's Como collection? Dressing up is just the breeze. Always ready with a perfect accessory.
A magic dressing mirror. One look and you're ready to face the world. Or at least the kids.
A bed perfect for young men who want
A table that turns into a treasure chest.
And finally, a sofa with this grand TV unit for family time at home.
Head over to any Ashphone store now and discover the new Como collection. Ashphone, feel it, know it.
Sometimes the unexpected happens and the hero falls down in his own story. But he needs not stay down for long. Cosmopolitan Health Insurance is your trusted health partner. Whether an individual building a business, with Cosmopolitan Health Insurance, your medical care is our concern. For the best health insurance solutions for corporate institutions, groups and associations, families and individuals, choose Cosmopolitan Health Insurance from our over 700 accredited health service providers nationwide. Call us on 0302 540 668 or 0501 678 547 for all your health insurance solutions. Cosmopolitan Health Insurance, your medical care is our concern.
Ama, nansi
me general well-being enkoye kwao. Amama ye bohu se kontomra akija.
Nancy me who say me no basima kura. Amama me kunu me into kwankwa. Oh you why? And you will go. Give us GC lecture and any capsules. Ah you num boom and wasam na mo kana. E bua e ma ene meme nyina. Na ma wo ba ye obesima. Na be ma so aye be masima. Ya we be bua wo kunu. Ama ne giant sa wo de hye butum. Na wanyinya na nim tisese ni wo yi chokwa. GC mixture and a capsule.
A pin for a batter, one more menu for one and Kwada when if you do me.
Hello, my friends. My name is Kelkit Toothpaste. Wow. I was made to be gentle on your gum but protected. I will protect your teeth from cavity, make your teeth whiter, stronger, keep your mouth fresh all day. And best of all, I'm strawberry flavored. So put on a smile and try me.
That's amazing.
Just try me. That's my job.
If you say so, jump on my brush. Makes your teeth stronger, ticky whiter, ticky younger. Yay! You did it!
I'm glad you like your new toothpaste. Don't forget to brush both day and night.
Kelkits, happy smile.
Attention all farmers. Are you ready to take your crops to the next level? Introducing 3 effective organic composts that will revolutionize your farming practices. ACAP, KCAP and IRECOP brings to you the ultimate solution for your fertilizer needs. Introducing the ACAP Grade A, KCAP Equiafua Jinkwa and the IRECOP with cocoa blends, palm blend and mulch. These are made from locally sourced municipal solid waste, and these are the perfect choice for sustainable farming. Join the organic revolution today. Boost your crop yield, improve soil health, and support sustainable farming practices. Choose ACAP, KCAP, and IRECOP organic compost for a greener and bountiful harvest. For your purchase and more information, call the numbers on your screen. Our products are endorsed by COCOBOD, Planting for Food and Jobs, and the Ministry of Food and Agriculture.
Now, let me come home for Ghanaians to know why I support E-levy. And I earlier on made a statement that I would have gone further. Let me tell you and see how you are being cheated. You are knocking your head. You are being cheated in this country and you don't want to pay tax. You allow people to cheat. You, because you work for GBC, the system is structured, so you are going to pay tax. Let me tell you, I have 3 projects going on at the same time. The contractor, I buy the materials, he charges labor. The first one, and every stage is a different charge until he completes the project, every stage. Now, he's casting the floor. The guy charged me 350,000 for the labor. Okay? This guy, I went there on Saturday. Well, I appreciated the work they were doing, so I just dashed them on my own, besides whatever. But I want you to know that you are being cheated because I questioned the guy. Look, 350,000 labor. Mason gets 120 a day. Those without the skills, the wheelbarrow, cutting the sand and everything, 80 Ghana cedis. The one making 120 a day, in 6 days, makes 720. So in 4 weeks, he makes 2,880. You send 800. It is not true. Madam, please check. It is not true.
We talked about moving the economy from a focus on taxation to a focus on production. Ladies and gentlemen, as part of measures to get the economy back on track when we had these challenges and to improve domestic revenue mobilization and improve efficiency, government has increased a number of taxes. We extended the National Fiscal Stabilization Levy and the Special Import Levies from 2020 to 2024. We imposed initially a luxury vehicle levy, which was later abolished. We increased the CST from 6% to 9% and later decreased it from 9% to 5%. We increased the National Health Insurance Levy from 2.5% to 3.5%. We introduced a Sanitation Pollution Levy of 10 pesos on the price of a liter of fuel. We had the Energy Sector Recovery Levy of 20 pesos, a Financial Sector Cleanup Levy of 5%, and recently the introduction of the E-levy of 1.5% on financial transactions. In fulfillment of our manifesto promise to move the economy from a focus on taxation to a focus on production, we have so far reduced or abolished 18 separate taxes and levies, and most of them were manifesto promises. No such broad-based reduction in taxes has been implemented by any government since independence.
Presido, Adodi, Nana Showboy, cancel the E-levy, cancel the E-levy, cancel the E-levy.
On Monday, May 2, the former president, John Mahama, said at a lecture in Accra that the next NDC government will abolish the controversial E-levy when elected into office. According to John Mahama, the opposition NDC is not opposed to taxation. However, the party is against taxes that burden Guineans.
When we are supposed to be celebrating workers, we are celebrating a new tax imposed on them. And already there's a litany of complaints about the implementation. I've heard complaints of transfers of under 100 cedis being subject to tax contrary to the law. And I've heard others say that they sent 1,000 cedis and paid no additional tax. Clearly, the Ghana Revenue Authority and those responsible for this tax were not ready for its implementation.
In a reaction, however,
about 40% of Momo users in Ghana were people who sent monies below 100 Ghana cedis a day. About 40%. So we found that group to be very sensitive. And His Excellency the Vice President has indicated that he does not want us to introduce Momo tax to affect the poor. So per the research, we were able to identify that poor group. And they were about 40% of Momo users. So in this E-levy that we have introduced, we have exempted all the 40% category. They are not part of this levy. How are we going to implement that? Every Momo transaction that you transfer up to 100 Ghana cedis, we are not taking any levy on it.
You're still live on Metro Television. This is Good Morning Ghana. My name is Audumo. Now, joining us this morning for a conversation on the back of the trending stories has been published by the newspapers is the Member of Parliament for the Garu constituency, Dr. Thomas Winsome Anaba. He's joined us this morning and will also shortly be joined by the MPP rep. That's Mr. Ishaq Ibrahim, who is a lecturer, UPSA. He's a law lecturer, UPSA, and also a member of the MPP's legal directorate. He'll also be joining us shortly. But for now, Dr. Thomas Winsome Anaba is here. Doc, good morning. Thank you very much for joining us.
Good morning, Moro.
And it's always a pleasure.
Good morning to our cherished viewers and listeners.
Yeah.
And thanks for having me. Let me say belated Barakah Salah to you and to the viewers, because during the Salah I didn't get time to come here.
Yeah.
Today I'm seated here. So Barakah Salah to the good people of Ghana and then the good people of Garu.
Right.
I hope that all your wishes for your prayers, for your fasting will be granted by the Almighty God.
Right.
And make Ghana a happy place for all of us.
Amen.
Yes. Yeah.
Amen.
Thank you very much.
You know, as Muslims, when somebody pray for you, you say, Amin, Summa Amin.
Amin, Summa
Amin. Yes.
Right.
Which is to sort of, you want to bring some more, you want to deepen the faith.
The faith, okay.
That you have in the person's prayer.
Amin,
so it's like amen twice, sort of.
Amin, Summa.
Amin, Summa Amin. You know.
Right.
So it is what it is. But good to see you once again.
Thank you very much.
And thanks for the Eid felicitations.
All right.
We appreciate that. Also joining us on the other side is Mr. I'll call him. I said I shouldn't call him counsel because I'm not a lawyer. Maybe one of these days would also consider enrolling at the law school so that we can reserve the right to call Ishaq counsel. But whether he likes it or yes, I'll call him counsel. Anyway, counsel,
yes.
Good to see you.
Good morning to you.
Ishaq Ibrahim is a lecturer at UPSA and also a member of the NPB's legal directorate. Assalamu alaikum, my brothers. Good to see you.
Wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And good morning to you, and Eid Mubarak to all Ghanaians, both Muslims and non-Muslims.
Yeah, very important. How did you celebrate it?
It was quite interesting, visiting friends and families.
Okay.
Yes, in and around Accra.
Okay.
I wish I could have gone to the north. Usually I celebrated there, but this year I had a quite tight schedule on campus.
Okay.
So I couldn't make it here.
All right.
Yeah.
How do you deal with the perennial pressure? You know, when it's time for Eid,
yes,
you get all these calls for help.
Yes, I mean those ones are customary. I mean, you're a Muslim. You know, Islam is built around 5 pillars.
Yeah.
And one of them is zakat.
Right.
And especially in Ramadan, we have this. It's religiously sanctioned that before you even go for prayer, you need to give us zakat. And as people said, charity begins at home. Yeah. So you have family members have to be in the mood to celebrate before you do those things. Yes. So. It's a yearly thing, but it's good. It's part of the pillars. And it also gives you some level of satisfaction that you're able to help.
And then your faculty?
My faculty.
Did you feed some of your members, your faculty?
Actually, no. I think
that's what I was driving at.
I think our
that's what I was
faculty.
driving at. Yes, it's not easy.
I think our faculty, largely people are very busy.
Okay.
On the E day, actually, when most people
had left.
I mean, it was a public holiday, but even the next day, our faculty is very busy.
Okay.
And I think we are only one Muslims in the faculty.
Oh, okay.
Myself and Justice Abdullah.
Okay.
You know,
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So maybe we urge many Muslims to also join the teaching profession.
Yeah, very important.
Yes, I know many of us are into practice, but sometimes it's very good. I mean, I believe academic law is equally important, even more important than practice. Because when you practice and you teach the law, you'll be surprised the amount of law you will know. Because practice is very narrow. I don't know whether you know that.
Yeah.
And unless the client instructs you specifically on an issue, you don't go to have a look at it.
Okay.
But for example, if you are teaching tort law, you will know all the principles almost every year.
Yeah.
You go through them with students, and it's very good.
Yeah.
So I carry more people in practice to join. People cite the poverty when you are just teaching, because the law, teaching the law alone, I don't know whether you know, is very poor. You see that the lecturer salary is very, very poor, whilst your colleagues elsewhere is receiving $7,000, $8,000, $9,000. You are receiving less than $500 a month.
Wow.
As a lecturer. So it's a huge sacrifice law lecturers are making around the country.
So you actually make more money through rendering legal services.
One briefing, you can get your monthly salary. One briefing, yes.
The school allows that? To combine rendering legal services and teaching at the same time?
I am not bragging. If the school disallow it openly, they will not fire anybody teaching.
Oh, really?
Yes. I mean, why would I get less than $500 a month to teach the law when I can get one briefing with that? So I think it's a common practice throughout the world that law lecturers. So the courtroom is like our laboratory. If you want.
Okay.
So if you are just in the classroom alone without going to the laboratory, how do you do it?
True.
Yes. So I believe the common practice across the world is that it's only UK I've seen people who are just academic lawyers.
Okay.
They've not called to the bar, so they only teach the law. But across the world, the practice is you teach and you practice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if they were openly to discourage it, then we'll struggle to have law lecturers. Already the turnover is very high.
Yeah.
Staff living rate is really bad.
Very high.
Yeah.
But I think that even beyond the economics, it is also in the interest of the school to allow you to practice so that you're always in tune with current practices and so on as far as the profession is concerned.
Yes.
And that also impacts on, even the quality of tuition that you give
very
practical
true.
examples.
Your students.
Yes.
We are seeing same in the medical field.
Oh, that's okay.
Virtually all the specialists who work at the teaching hospitals also practice.
Oh.
Right. Some of them even have private.
Oh, yeah. So like,
so if you want to say just stay there and then lecture in the university, you won't get a lecturer. You won't get anybody lecturing in the university. Virtually all the lecturers in the university who lecture the medical students and the rest, they also practice. And in that way, you translate the practice to the classroom. So it's something that is good to be done because it enhances their income.
So for someone like you who is a medical doctor, it's your job as a medical doctor. So let's say you have a medical facility you work at, privately.
Yes.
Do those kinds of services fall under the list of jobs that you ought to inform the speaker about before you go about it?
Okay, in Parliament, if I want to practice, I have to go to the Speaker. There's a committee responsible for that, for them to assess whether the job I'm going to do will not have any conflict of interest in Parliament and whether it would not also impede my duties in Parliament. But when I was with the University of Development Studies, yes, I had my own private facility, and that is the facility that is still running. I was teaching the students in the university, teaching them practicals in the Tamale Teaching Hospital, and running my private at my leisure time. That gave me the advantage to be able to get some little resources to support myself. To depend only on the salary of the university, really, it was nothing to write home about. So we had to combine things. And several lecturers in the universities who lecture medical students go private. And also some of them also work with the government hospitals. There are lecturers of the UDS medical school who are working at the Temele Teaching Hospital. So there is some amount of compensation that they add to their salary as lecturers, at least to compensate for the clinical aspect of their work in the Temele Teaching Hospital. All the universities right now, that's what they do. All the teaching hospitals, they give some percentage of the basic salary of the lecturer, add to him to allow him to teach the students, and also just stay there to work as a clinician. So it keeps you in both places. You are with the university and you are with the teaching hospital. If not, if they want to say just take only the salary, you can't teach, you can't work as a doctor and then the rest, no one would stay. And it is done internationally. It's not only Ghana. It's everywhere. It's like that.
Right. It's a good idea. It's a good idea. But speaking about rendering or giving, health care and health services, how is our vice president doing? Professor Jane Nanopo-Kwajima, we do know that she is seeking medical care abroad. Apparently she's in the UK.
Right.
Do you have any latest information on how she's doing?
Moro, let me wish the Vice President of Ghana a speedy recovery.
Okay.
And I pray that the good Lord bless the hands that will touch her and nourish the brains that will treat her so that she will get healthy quickly and come back to perform a role as the Vice President of Ghana.
Okay.
To be honest, even if I had known
Yeah.
what she is sick of, I am not entitled to disclose it because of confidentiality, because they have not given me that permission. I only pray that she gets well. But it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. A country like Ghana, we have not been able to develop to the state that we can manage our own illness when our top dignitaries are sick within our own country.
Before you get there,
yeah.
Do you think that in line with good practice,
yes,
and in line with good governance,
yes,
we shouldn't be able to confidently tell the public
yes,
what is wrong with a public official?
If the person so decides,
be transparent about it.
If the person so decides for it to be public, like the Pope does, like other people do, if the person so decides, it's a personal issue. Sickness is a personal issue. If you go to the Medical and Dental Council, they'll tell you, if you divulge, even the doctor, you divulge somebody's information to the wife without his permission, he can sue you. So it is up to the patient to say, I want my information to be broadcast.
Even if the person is a public official?
Even if he's public, he's still a person, he's still a client. In the first place, he's still a client.
Okay.
You can't say somebody should dispose of his illness to the entire world that I am sick of this.
Okay.
No, it is his or her right to keep it to himself and his doctors. Like lawyers, sometimes some patients, some clients will tell you certain things that this is between me and you. You don't bring it out. Doctors do the same thing. A client can tell you something, this is between me and you.
Yeah.
You don't bring it out. Use it to treat me, but you are not supposed to divulge it. If you go and divulge an information about a patient under your care to his relative, even the closest relative, without his permission and he sues you, you pay for it dear.
Yeah.
So that's why I say we can't force anybody who is public. Going public doesn't mean that you have signed a warrant that when you are sick, divulge my information. Then they have to put a clause in the Medical and Dental Council that public figures, their records of health issues must be exposed. If it is there and you do it, that one there's no problem.
Okay.
If she herself, through her media consultant or PR, tells the PR, tell the people, I'm suffering of this, they should pray for me, let me get well. And she comes to announce it. Fair enough.
But do you think we should get there at some point? Because if you look at best practices, if you look at England, for instance, when King Charles was sick, and he was being treated of cancer, in fact, there were even related effects after the treatment of cancer. They kept the public updated on what exactly was wrong with him, even Queen Elizabeth herself. Should we get there at some point? That look, once you decide you want to become a public officer, then there's nothing confidential about certain aspects of your life anymore. For instance, when it comes to your state of health. Should we get there at some point? Or you think we should maintain the status quo?
I'll tell you, that is a decision the royal family took.
Okay.
That is a decision they took.
Right.
But per law, you are not obliged. There's why in our constitution is it obliged that any public figure should tell the public anytime he's sick and what he is sick for.
Should we get there at some point?
Why do we want to know about people's private issues when it comes to health?
Okay.
Sickness is a personal issue and private issue.
Right.
It must be kept sacrosanct unless the person wants it to be divulged.
Okay, that's fine. I think point's well made. Then I'll come to you on that. Then the second layer of this conversation has to do with whether after 68 years of independence, shouldn't we have enough sophisticated medical facilities, state of the art, that should be able to take care of our public, or if I take care of the citizenry, without necessarily seeking medical care abroad? In fact, your own colleague, Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa, must have been somewhere last year, April, May, thereabout, said that he wants to see a Ghana where public officials are banned from seeking medical care abroad, because that's the only way we can look within and build our own, health facilities, and for health facilities that will serve the citizens regardless of their social and economic, standings. Where do you stand on this?
I think it's rather unfortunate, like I was saying, that at this age of Ghana, we still have to rely on foreign expertise, foreign facilities for our health needs, both public figures and well-to-do people.
Yeah.
We have not sat down as a country to really decide that we want to establish a health system that can cater for at least 90 to 98, 99% of all the illness in Ghana, and draw a strategic plan on how to develop the infrastructure, train the needed human resource, and look for the needed resources to be able to do this. We don't need to have such facilities littered all around the country, but at least we must have one top-notch hospital in the country, whereby when you go, your referral should be internal. From one department to the other, from one specialist to the other, they combine their brains and solve a problem. You remember 2023, they separated Siamese twins in Ghana. And you saw the collaborations between various stakeholders, specialists, pediatricians, psychologists, whatever, neurosurgeons, surgeons, vascular surgeons, they came together, separated Siamese twins. That was a great deal of collaboration. With the needed human resource procured, they succeeded in performing the surgery. What is wrong with Ghana? If we also sit down and plan that this is what we are going to do, in 4, 5, 6 years' time, at least 1% of Ghanaians who need treatment may be going out, but the rest of us would have the needed treatment in Ghana. We don't really need to have all the specialists in Ghana. We can even sign agreements with certain specialists abroad. When the need be for them to be in the country, they come to the country. I thought that even the former vice president, fallen sick at the initial stage of their government in 2017, where he was flown out and people criticized, including my good self.
You criticize it?
I criticize it.
Okay.
I criticize it not because I didn't want him to go and get treatment.
Okay.
I criticize the system for not elaborating on processes and development processes and structures to prevent that from recurring. And the reason is that, you see, the previous government, NDC previous government, started a certain proposal to set up facilities that would minimize exportation or external treatment of Ghanaians, like well-to-do people, public figures, by establishing a quaternary hospital. That quaternary hospital was actually almost abandoned. But for somebody who demonstrated at Legon before the former First Lady, but for the former health minister who fell sick and went there to take a rest, perhaps the facility would have been standing and used. But for COVID, it would have been standing and used. If a past government set up a program to set up facilities to prevent Ghanaians from going out, majority of Ghanaians from going out to seek medical treatment. When you come, you look at it and see the importance and continue. You even had the incident of your vice president falling sick, unfortunately. You didn't take advantage of that. Then COVID came, you said COVID has taught us a lesson. You didn't take advantage of that. That hospital is not running to its fullest capacity. If we deliberately spend enough resources to train the needed human resource, it's not only the matter of the structure, it's the human beings who work there, the skilled labor that will work there. We need to resource them. I can tell you, go to Scholarship Secretariat and ask how much money has been given to Ghanaian specialists to go out and specialize in super critical diseases, and how much has been given for people to go and read political administration, business management, PhDs to come back here. You cry. That's why I think that we need to deliberately engineer a strategic plan, a blueprint that will lead us gradually in winning ourselves off from foreign medical treatment, that we can empower our own. Keep the little cedis we have here instead of changing it into dollars to go and trade somebody abroad. And then give job to people, because once that hospital is built, many people will get job. We'll treat most of our people here. Even others would even troop to Ghana as well to also come for the treatment.
You talk about medical tourism.
Medical tourism. Yeah. Look, no one will come for medical tourism if he thinks that I'll come to this hospital tomorrow, you take me to this hospital, next time you take me to this hospital. No, they want a one-stop shop for health. And we need to build on that. So I think it is far too long for us to be in a country like Ghana. We brag of everything that is democratic. They say, oh, US, they are doing it. UK, they are doing it. Democratic in America, this is what they do. But we don't say how they treat people in America. Do the American presidents or their leaders go to Britain for treatment? Germany, you can't move from one state as a public figure to go to another state, if not fully sanctioned, for medical treatment. Okay. Within Germany.
I see.
Yes. Because you must ensure that your backyard is well resourced. So I pray that with the intention His Excellency has, and I hope it will work, we resource the health sector, train some specialists to take care of all these type of diseases that will take people out, to manage them, so that we'll be able to manage them here. But more importantly, I advise all public figures and well-to-do people, take rest, relaxation, very serious. We engulf ourselves with too much loads, and we get stressed up. Our immune system depresses, and we can easily fall sick of anything. That is what I advise. Once I advise the government is listening, and I know it is part of the strategic plan to make sure that Rich Hospital is converted to a teaching hospital, make sure the Legon Hospital comes up to work as the way they plan for it to work. And also, Ghanaians should encourage self-discipline, and let's look at how those who have money in Ghana who can do a lot of business, people are building estates and those things. People are building big party offices. People, they don't have a small clinic in their backyard to take care of them. Let's invest in health. If health is not correct in the country, is not working well in the country, who all will fall victims? And who will fall victims? Who will go? If you don't have the opportunity to go out very early, you go. So it's unfortunate our vice president had to be flown out of the country. Yeah. But I pray in future, like Blackwell said, he didn't say we're going to do it just today. It must be a plan.
Yeah. No, he said worse than that.
Right, whatever he said, I am a doctor and I'm a health person, and I know that to implement this, you need a plan step by step. Building the facility, training the people alongside. When you train them and come, they must work as a group, as a team. If they don't work as a team, it won't work. When they work as a team, like I've cited an example of the Rich Hospital Siamese twin separation, it worked. If they come back, a urologist comes, an orthopedic surgeon comes, a psychologist, a neurosurgeon, all of them come together and they are working as a team. That is when we will succeed. Because a political figure who is sick, normally he will need a good psychologist by him, even to prep it up. So you can't just say, go and see the orthopedic surgeon to mend your fracture when he has a lot of stress on him. So we need to develop such specialists in Ghana, get them the facility, and resource them well, remunerate them well. because outside they ruminate. Where we don't have a specialist, we can get to work. We can sign agreement with specialists abroad. They agree. Other countries do it. We've seen specialists fly from America to South Africa, fly from the US to Saudi Arabia to treat people. We can sign agreement with top-notch doctors, even Ghanaian doctors. We have a lot of them in the US. Atlanta, they are there, so many. Sign agreement with them. When we have a top-notch public figure who needs treatment, or even a Ghanaian who needs some treatment in Ghana, and you can come. The Medical and Dental Council may waive the authorization for him coming because they've done pre-arrangements. He comes, treat the person, take his flight, and goes back. It works like that. Even there are Indians who come here, sign agreements with private hospitals, come and operate for 1 week, 2 weeks, and go back. So we can do a lot of things to curtail this export of our high-level dignitaries outside Ghana. It's unfortunate. It has happened. We can't say they shouldn't do it because we don't have the facilities yet. Right. So I don't see why we should begrudge anybody for sending the vice president out for treatment. He needs the treatment. She needs the treatment, and we pray that she recovers very quickly and come back to join. And also be a spokesperson, an advocate for proper development in the health sector to minimize the foreign medical treatment request.
Right. You know, you have articulated this aspiration very beautifully. And of course, it's not the first time we have heard this.
Yeah.
We've heard this talk time and again in the past, where we are always, you know, telling Ghanaians where we're aspiring to get to in terms of providing healthcare, etc. The challenge is that we've not moved as fast as we're supposed to.
Yeah.
And so we're still sort of, you know, I don't know if I could say we're moving at a slower pace than we're supposed to. Let me just simply put it that way. Do you then agree with those who say the only way we can fast track this or we can catalyze this is to say that let's come up with a policy that says if you are a public office holder or if you're a public official, right from the presidency to the man at the lowest level, do not move outside of this country if you are unwell. Even if it means you die here. It is the only way we'll get our leaders to work as fast as they can for us to achieve this dream and this vision, as you have beautifully, you know, articulated. Where do you stand on this? And lawyer, please bear with me. You know, this one is a doctor's sort of conversation, but I'll come back to you. No, don't worry. I'll get you to comment on that as well.
It's equally my field. Oh, I've been a qualified nurse for at least 19 years.
Really?
And I've worked in the hospitals for almost 20 years.
You see, you're my friend, but I realized apparently I don't know you. So that's my final question before I get to you. Or you think it's practically not possible?
No, they are right. They are right calling that we should ban everybody from going out because of the frustration.
Yes.
I understand.
Yes.
But ethically, yes, it's not good.
Even legally?
Yeah, even legally, it's not good. It means that you are subjecting people to die when you know we don't have the right person. Let's give timelines.
Okay.
Let every Ghanaian tell the government, 4 years, we want to see a total reduction in the number of public figures who leave the source of this country for treatment.
Right.
Let a team sit down, draw a strategic plan. How do we do it? And these are the steps. How long will it take us to at least minimize it to 1%?
Okay.
Because there's no place in this world that you can have all treatments. We can combine several methods in making it work, but we cannot make it 100%. That one there, we can do it. So I understand the public, and I also support it. But ethically, and then, as the lawyer is saying, legally, it's not right. It's just that because they are public figures, you will notice it. And because they are not, like we all say, they are not taking care of our hospitals, that's why they go out.
Right.
But I pray that this would happen.
Okay.
And I have hope that this will. Once Akudjeto has said it, would all support him and to get the government to make sure that, the health minister to make sure we try to establish a system like that. One thing about people also going out is the issue of my information will leak. See, that's what you were asking.
Yeah.
But we don't have trust within ourselves. I tell you, I have taken care of very big officials of the opposite party. But I've never gone out to say a word of what I treat them for. It is that some people fear. But doctors, we're not like that. I've seen doctors who are NPP taking care of NDC people very well, and no information come out. It is when they allow their PRs, their small officers around them to take a picture of them and know what is there. They go out to publish it in social media and the rest. Yeah. But doctors in particular will not go out and publish anything in social media about the patients. It is as a result of their own people around them who publish it. Yeah, so that is what I would say.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Dr. Ishak?
Yes.
What are your thoughts? Oh, you're not there yet?
No, I'm not a doctor in the medical sense, but I'm a nurse prescriber. Yeah. Nurse prescriber is a step down from just being a doctor. Right. Because we all do anatomy and physiology and pharmacology and other subjects. So I'm a nurse prescriber not in Ghana, but in the UK. Okay. And at least I've worked in the health sector more than 18 years. Okay. So I'm very familiar with the hospital environment. Having said that, I think the main reason we are discussing this is because the Vice President have taken ill. Right. So first of all, we cannot introduce politics into this, even though politics have already been briefed in. First of all, she's not just the Vice President of the NDC, she's the Vice President of Ghana. And she's also a human being. So it is right for her to express our sympathies and wish her a speedy recovery. And then so that she can return to Ghana and join the President, and they'll be able to deliver the social contract they signed with Ghanaians. Having said that, I would like to disagree with my colleague when he said there is no duty to disclose. Even within the hospital sector, we have something we call duty of conduct. So duty of conduct simply means that there are certain information, if they need to be disclosed, they ought to be disclosed. We are not saying that doctors should disclose confidential information they know about the patient. But what we are saying is that as a public official, you are in a special relationship with the people of Ghana. And we need to know your progress. For example, he said there is no law requiring it, but I just quoted a principle, duty of conduct. But look at the Constitution. When can we remove a vice president or a president? Among them is if stated misbehavior, incompetence, or incapacity. If Ghanaians do not know whether you are fit to continue the job, how do we invoke that aspect? I'm not saying this is what we are praying to invoke, but I'm just trying to explain to you why there are instances we ought to know the health status of the president. While we wish you very well, but the Ghana PLC will also need to move on. So if we have a vice president who is more or less giving supporting role to the president to govern us effectively. And if at some point she is sick, and we cannot assess how sick she is, not that we are wishing the person to die, or we are wishing them bad things, but we just want to assess to see that, do we need to get somebody to help for the meantime? It's for this reason why when you go to the Western world, especially you mentioned Britain, as soon as Prince Charles was diagnosed with cancer, he immediately informed them. The Pope is doing it. And when you do that as a public figure, for example, you demystify sicknesses and make it normal. So that when people are sick in a particular way, we don't attach stigma to them. These are some of the reasons why we ought to know. So for example, these days, if you are HIV positive, it is no longer a death sentence. You can take medication that will keep you normal. If, God forbid, a leader is diagnosed with something like this, and we can demystify it by saying that even the president have this sickness, we know about it. This kind of stigma, we can try to do away with them. So I believe that the public have, and I'm not just blaming the NDC aspect, even though they are usually hypocrites. You can see he quickly ran to the former vice president when we are dealing with a live issue. So what we are saying there, so even as I said, they need, no, I don't mean you, I mean the NDC as an umbrella. Well,
I just cited an example to say something. Sorry, I'm disrupting you.
That. So. Confine your examples to our current issue. But what I'm saying is that I'm not just accusing the NDC of keeping quiet. Previous government, including our government, we've not disclosed this information. And I believe, as you said, at some point, not in the future, we need to start disclosing them. Because it's very important. You might say I'm introducing politics into it. We have a former president who was suffering with cancer. Because the public didn't know. They even forced him to jog from the airport to whatever distance. Is it that this kind of exercise could exacerbate the problem? So the public ought to know so that you don't hide things behind. Now there are speculations everywhere where we shouldn't be speculating. Some say, now I'm just hearing for the first time he's in the UK. Others say he's in the United States. They've even tied the Mayo Hospital to them. 3 days ago, I heard she's in California.
Ignore all that, it's fake news. She's in the UK.
Yeah, but why can't we get information from the official sources? That is a problem we are having. But if we can disclose it, that is better. The public ought to, perhaps on E-Day, we could even offer a better prayer. Members of the public, I believe in the biomedical model. I also believe that health has an element of spirituality to it. Do you understand that? Because at least it inspires you and gives you some level of confidence and promote recovery. So people ought to be praying for her. And if you don't know the exact situation, how do you formulate your prayer? So I believe we ought to know. Now, whether you can ban people from seeking medical attention abroad, I can see, I read briefly what Ablako said. And he said it with a political motive. Now, the hens are now home to roost. Let me be very clear. Yes, when you go to our hospitals, I've been to so many hospitals in the UK. St. Thomas, which is one of the premier, St. George's, Chelsea and Westminster Hospital, Middlesex, and all those things. If you see those hospitals and you see our premier hospital like Kolibo, it's a national embarrassment. I mean, if you see the environment, it should be nice that you even see hospital environment that promote recovery. Our hospital environment doesn't promote recovery. It is actually the Legon Hospital. What's the name of it? Yeah, the Legon Medical
University of Ghana Medical Center.
University of Ghana Medical Center. That the environment is actually better. How can our premier hospital? It doesn't even promote recovery. The first time I visited there, I saw patients lying on the floor. And we also have reports that patients have to even drive to get beds over there. I mean, if you are faced with that situation and you are faced with the life of the vice president and the threat, of course you want to go abroad. And as I was saying, it might even be unlawful to prevent them. For example, the International Covenant for Economic and Social Rights grant everybody the right to health. And wherever you can get it, you can go for it. And even the advanced country, I actually disagree with you. In the UK, people even leave the UK and go to Hungary for treatment. There was this guy who has hospital said they were hopeless in the UK. And then this father was very determined to get the daughter well. And they said they was hopeless. They went to court and then said that doctors could withdraw treatment. And it was more or less a hopeless situation. But there was a pioneer treatment in Hungary. He has to smuggle this child to Spain and attempt to disguise themselves to go to Hungary. And then the hospital get an injunction. There was a public outcry. This guy managed to take the child to Hungary, which is more or less a developing country as compared to UK. The child became better. Do you understand that? Maybe what we need to say is that we will not finance treatment of public officials.
That's what I mean. That is what I mean. The Germany one is the public persons are meant, not private.
If you can finance
at Germany, I was inside talking about public persons or officers going from one state to the other. It's not in private individuals. No.
So even in the UK, for example, you cannot leave one borough and seek treatment with another borough unless the local authority approves it, or unless you want to fund it privately. But if you want to be funded from the NHS, the hospital within your territory or whichever way catchment area will need to approve it that we need to free beds or the waiting list is too long, and therefore you can go there before the local authority will finance it.
I see.
So there's no way in the world that they ban anybody from seeking treatment abroad.
Okay.
But it's just that we might not finance it, and if you can finance it, you can go. So, but then I don't believe we should go through the US model. We can survive. The US is just too expensive for you to explore healthcare.
Okay.
There are a lot of people in the United States who are uninsured. They can't even get treatment.
Okay.
So, yes. So I don't agree about the banding aspect.
All right.
But I believe we can constrain giving resources to people to seek treatment abroad.
Okay.
So we wish the Vice President well.
Right.
And we hope that she would recover very fast and return to Ghana.
Right, right. Right, speaking about our health, it is important that you boost your energy and boost your health as you go about your daily activities. And so every morning when I come here, I'll remind you to have a taste of Blue Jeans energy drink. It's extremely important because you need energy to be able to go about whatever it is that you intend to do. So Blue Jeans energy drink, it's been on the market for more than 20 years, and it tells you how strong and how reliable the brand is. So take advantage of this by calling Budget Cash and Carry Limited on 055 001 000, 055 001 0000, and also 020 812 8190, 020 812 8190. Blue Jeans energy drink has been tested, it's been tried. We know it, we can testify that it's indeed the best. And Blue Jeans energy drink is for bold and active men and women. So, Jubilee House yesterday was extremely busy. And it was extremely busy with some activities which have to do with what I'll call fulfilling a campaign promise. And you would notice that in most of the newspapers today, it's been published widely that E-levy betting emission tax is scrapped. President has sent to bills. It's same on the daily. It's same captured by the Daily Guide, same New Crusading Guide, the Insight newspaper, and then the Daily Post. So I would go with the Daily Graphic publication or report on this, and it says that Kester Abraham Kranche is the one who is reporting on this matter. He says President John Dramani Mahama has assented to a set of amended bills of parliament effectively abolishing the electronic transfer levy, E-levy, the betting tax, the emission tax, among other related bills. The affected laws include the electronic transfer levy, repeal bill 2025, the emissions levy repeal bill 2025, the income tax amendment bill 2025, and the earmarked funds capping and Realignment Amendment Bill 2025. Others are the Petroleum Revenue Amendment Bill 2025, the Public Procurement Amendment Bill 2025, the Value Added Tax Amendment Bill 2025, and the Public Financial Management Amendment Bill 2025. President Mahama also assented to the Gold Board 2025 that establishes the Ghana Gold Board, a regulatory body tasked with overseeing gold trade, ensuring transparency and promoting local participation in the industry. The Gold Board marks a major step in the government's efforts to regulate and maximize benefits from the country's gold resources. After the assent, the laws would now be gazetted before their implementation can begin, although the authorities would start the process to effect the changes. Now, the signing ceremony at the Jubilee House in Accra yesterday marked a significant step in the government's commitment to reduce the financial burden on Ghanaians and to stimulate economic growth. Now, present at the ceremony were key government officials, including the Chief of Staff, Julius Deborah, the Finance Minister, Dr. Castle Atoforsin, the Secretary to the President, Dr. Callistus Mahama, and a former Finance Minister, Seth Tekwe, among others. The repeal of the taxes takes immediate effect, with the Ghana Revenue Authority directed to halt their collection and begin implementing the necessary adjustments. The betting tax, E-levy, and emission tax in particular had been subjects of widespread public debate, with critics arguing that they place undue strain on businesses and individuals without necessarily impacting on the government's revenue mobilization efforts. Indeed, the E-levy, for instance, generated just about 6 billion cedis across all these sectors, while the betting tax raked in only 180 million cedis. Now, the NDC during the 2024 election campaign pledged to scrap the levies to foster a more business-friendly environment and also to ease the cost of living. And then also the Gold Board bill. Now, it also goes ahead to talk about what the Gold Board is and object of the bills and so on. And also citizens. So the President is reiterating his administration's dedication to fiscal policies that prioritizes citizens' welfare. He promises to make, he says promises made, promises delivered. He said this yesterday after appending his signature to the repealed bills. He asked that these taxes were not only burdensome, but also hindered economic activity. Their removal will empower businesses, encourage digital transactions, and promote sustainable development. The betting tax introduced in 2018 but effected in 2023 had faced criticism by its impact on the gaming industry, while the E-levy implemented in 2022 was contentious due to its effect on the mobile money transactions. And also the emissions tax aimed at reducing environmental pollution had also been met with mixed reactions from stakeholders. So it looks like Dr. Thomas Anaba, the government means business. Promise made, promise delivered. Yeah. Why should we be excited about this?
Oh, it's not that you shouldn't be excited.
Okay.
It is that you remember our manifesto, or it's like a people's manifesto. We went around and met every group of persons, groups of people, organizations, traders, farmers, and then the rest. And there was a common cry on some of the taxes, like E-levy specifically. Even in Parliament to pass it, there was a serious commotion inside Parliament. Even though after that, some people celebrated. So the government, in opposition, then realized that what Ghanaians need is to take out E-levy. And there are several reasons I personally would applaud the president for repealing that bill, because E-levy actually affected the poor more than the rich. After all, the rich, you have various ways of taxing them, and they can still remain with surplus dividends from their businesses. But the poor, somebody who has taken a salary, he wants to buy something online or buy something from somebody, you tax the person when he's paying, then you tax him for using the electronic platform to pay. It means you have taxed him for buying the product, one, and you have taxed him for using his money to buy the product.
Yeah.
That is what it means. It means that if I go to a shop to buy Omo and they print a receipt for me, I have the price of the Omo and I have the tax for the Omo. Then because I've used Momo to pay, electronic medium to pay, you tax me for that money again. It means that you were overtaxing me. And then with people, everybody saw it to be a very bad tax. So what would a good listening government do? Take it away. That is not the only importance. Remember that when you are using electronic medium to pay, you are helping the central government, central bank governor. It doesn't need to print money. Because if everybody was transacting using cash, the frequency at which we will be printing money in this country and the amount spent to print money would be colossal. It means that if we take off the tax aspect of using electronic medium to pay, many people would rely on using the electronic medium to pay. In that way, the central bank would not have a lot, you would not need a lot of money to print notes for transactions. And besides, it will also help in one way or the other in really tracking businesses. Because once you're using the medium to pay, the government can rather find a way of tracking businesses to really pay the taxes they are supposed to pay. But if I'm using cash, I can collect the cash even without giving you a receipt. But if I use electronic medium to pay, there's no way, you can't hide it. So I think that cancelling it would encourage people to use more of this, reduce the central bank's demand for money to print more currency, to circulate in the market for usage. And you know, even notes even spread a lot of diseases if you really want to look at it. During the COVID time, we were all aware people didn't want to touch some notes, and then you were forced to touch it because there was no any other alternative. So to me, it's a good thing the government has done. All the bills that he has signed were demands from the people. And the government realized that I need to do a budget that will bring some relief. At least following the footsteps of our former vice president, we are moving from taxation to industrialization. We are moving from taxation to 24-hour economy. That is on a lighter note.
On a lighter note.
We just want to make sure that Ghanaians get something to cushion themselves. At least today, if I'm sending somebody, by tomorrow, if I'm sending somebody 100 Ghana cedis, I know I'll be saving myself 1 cedi. If I send to 10 people, I have 10 cedis to give to somebody to spend on his own. That alone is very good. So I think that the People's Manifesto has become the people's budget, and the people's budget has left money for the people. All those billions you are talking of would have gone to government. But there's one aspect that I always emphasize on. It is not bad to tax people. It's not bad at all for government to tax. But if you tax and the people see the tax, they feel the tax, they enjoy the tax, then that is when you will not get a complaint. He is from a developed country, he's lived there for long. He sees the roads that he drives in. Even when it snows, there's something to come and push away the snow for them to drive. You see the infrastructure that is there, public amenities, and then the rest. Where is our taxes going? We misapply them. We misapply them. And I don't want to cite examples because we all know them. We've pushed money into places that were not actually relevant. The finance minister has spoken about misappropriation of funds from the refund of tax refunds account has been misappropriated and all those things. That is how we are misusing funds. If actually governments spend money in devolving the country, making sure you go to hospital, it is fine. Your child goes to school and there's a chair for him to sit and the teacher is comfortable. You are driving on the road and the road signage is there, there aren't potholes, and you even increase road toll. I bet you we will pay. But for now, once the country is hot, everybody is hot, the first step to do is to relieve Ghanaians from the, what they call it obnoxious taxes. Let's relieve that one. But government has not only relieved them from paying the taxes, he has found monies to cushion where those monies were coming to cover. Very nice move. Even monies that were getting free from the United States, they have found money to put it there. It means that what our former president said, it's really true. There is money. We just have to distribute it in a way that everybody would have a feel of it, everybody will benefit from it. And once we are benefiting and the development is coming, we'll push for more taxes for other things, and when we use them for it, like we said, NHIS is uncapped. All the money now goes to National Health Insurance. They will pay hospitals regularly. People will go, they don't have to buy gloves, they don't have to buy medicine, they don't have to go out and buy syringe. They will buy new mattresses for hospitals, they will buy beds for hospitals. Sanitation in the hospitals will be good because you've uncapped. People will be happy. You've uncapped education. Now schools are prepared and everybody's looking. When will the chairs come? When will the textbooks come? They promise textbooks for students and then the rest. They promise students money not to pay their first year fees. They promise nursing trainees money. No, first year university students are not going to pay fees for it. All these things, when we demonstrate that we are collecting the taxes and using them well, I bet you, like abroad, people pay taxes, though they complain, but not like us. They are happy about what their taxes are used for. Let's be transparent to the people. And when it is time for us to tighten the belt, and you say tighten belts, they will tighten belts. So I think it's a good move the president has done, and I appreciate him. I commend him for standing bold and fulfilling his promise to the good people of Ghana. At least in his 120 days promises, he's virtually fulfilling them. And that is the way we want him to go. And we hope that the rest of the promises will keep track and we'll make sure we encourage him to fulfill them so that Ghanaians will be happy. Not because I'm NDC, I want it. I want Ghanaians to be comfortable. Yeah. To be happy that they are in the country, that the little resources we have, we are using it for everybody to benefit from it. So to me, it's a good move.
But Doc, how about those who argue that we have perhaps missed out, or we've missed a very fine opportunity to rope in our brothers and sisters in the informal sector?
Yeah.
Because for a very long time, we've had difficulties in broadening this whole talk about broadening the tax base. And so perhaps this singular policy of introducing E-levy was going to solve that age-old problem of roping in everybody to be able to pay what I call direct tax. That's when direct taxes everybody pays. So here we're talking about income tax. And the E-levy was a good move. Now you have let people off the hook.
Yeah.
You aren't going to pay those levies again. So what have you done? If indeed the idea is to rope in the informal sector. Yeah. And a lot of our people in the informal sector who are doing momo and things.
Yeah.
And so whether they like it or not, they'll pay the levy. Now you're saying they shouldn't pay. How else are you going to rope in the informal sector?
In fact, did it achieve the results they wanted?
I think that's a legitimate question.
It hasn't. Has it brought a lot of discontent within Ghanaians? Yes. There's one thing that we have to know. Government is not only having money to give to people, but making the people happy sometimes. There are certain moments. There are now indicators of how happy are the people in your country, that they assess to see which country is the happiest country. They are happy because certain things are happening that are good to them. Ghanaians say, look, you can tax whatever. If they increase taxes on gold mining, is it not going to give us money? How much do we make from gold?
Yes, but as children and grandchildren of Oliver,
yes,
can we ever say we are grateful and we're thankful? You see, the same people whom you are sparing the agony of paying E-levy and so on, they're going to come back to you and ask you, where are their roads?
Yes.
Where are their hospitals?
Yes.
Where are their schools?
Yes.
Where's the water? Where's electricity? Where's this? Where's the free this? Where's the free sanitary power? So if you spare them the pain of paying E-levy,
yes,
isn't that it? I mean, are we saying that they won't come back to you again to make certain demands, forgetting that you spared them, forgetting that you have spared them the pain of paying E-levy?
Emoro,
do you get it? Because we're talking about making Ghanaians happy.
Right.
Will they be happy
after taking all
in the long term?
After taking all those levies out and then the rest, haven't we found resources for the manifesto, for the budget?
That I agree.
So you see,
that I agree. But we could have had more resources.
You could have had more resources, which is making the people unhappy. Do you want the people to be unhappy because you are making more resources?
Right.
It's not good. It's not because of political benefit, but you simply just want to see the people also happy that they have a say. No one is saying that the informal sector is really left uncontrolled, but E-levy was not going to control them. It is up to the local governments and then the rest. Look, I take artisans to work in my house. How do I tax them and give it to government? It's difficult.
Very difficult.
So government has to structure things, bring out policies that will make sure everybody is captured. That is where the problem is. But it's not imposing E-levy. E-levy is really, look, I'm sending 100 cedis to somebody in Garu who needs 100 cedis to go and buy medication. He rushed to go and buy the medicine because he's moving it. You take another money from it. Why? So I'm not thinking that E-levy was a solution to our problem. Prudent dispensation, prudent distribution of the money would help Ghana develop.
Okay.
The road. Why did they remove the road toll? If they know they needed money, you could modernize it. And I tell you, if you do an asphalt road from here to Garu and put toll booths and every 50 kilometers and tax people, and the road is asphalt, and I don't have to buy shocks every 2 weeks, I'll pay those taxes. I will pay for the toll booth. I'll prefer it. And drivers will tell you they prefer to drive on an asphalt road, paying a toll booth every 50 kilometers than driving on these very bad roads and buying shock absorbers every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
We have to think outside the box and ensure that we get money from where there's productivity, but not getting money double taxing people. It appears the E-levy was like a double tax. Like I started the example of buying Omo in a shop. They'll tax you for buying the Omo and tax you for using Momo to pay. That is like double taxation.
All right. So I'll come back to you, Ibrahim. I'll come back to you on your thoughts on this new move, which they're sending off the bills on E-levy and so on. You're still watching Good Morning Ghana on Metro Television. Please stay with us.
Who are you? Who are you? Charlie, I'll be you from the future. Who doesn't sleep on that slice of bread you call mattress anymore? Don some slippers, then follow me. It is part of mattress we did the front there. Yeah? That'll be the mattress where the dead go. Wait, what are you doing? Wow! No damage at all. Not only durable, but also super comfortable. Come on, try it.
Nothing day like ash foam. Enjoy full body support and unparalleled comfort for a restful sleep.
Don't forget your keys.
Get the premium sleep experience with mattresses from Ash Foam. Visit any of our showrooms nationwide or at Ashfoam.
Mommy.
Michelle say, fe.
Different era, better result. Time has changed and time has brought Kel Choco Toothpaste, healthy gums, anti-cavity, fresher breath, and it whitens teeth. Kel Choco Toothpaste, Sankofa.
Yenchi, Kel Choco Toothpaste.
Happy smile.
This advert is FDA approved.
I'm a brand manager. Of course, I accept only quality and affordable printed souvenirs for my promotional campaigns.
I'm the head of academic affairs of a very important institution in Ghana. Of course, we only deal with quality, reliable printing companies for our institution's printing materials. I'm talking about appointed time printing.
Appointed Time Printings. We take pride in our extensive print scope that transform your ideas into captivating visual masterpieces. We delve into the core objectives and vision of each print project. Precision printing is at the heart of our printing process as we meet your tight deadlines. Our rigorous inspection, color verification, and overall printing excellence are assured. 20 years of printing excellence. It's always a pleasure working with you to create a vibrant, dazzling printing experience that gives you a masterpiece. Appointed Time Printing, your world of quality and affordable printing.
Cratchy, unemu bua unkoisha Dr. Man uye denwa.
Oh, Missy Yamfan come and me buru.
Mami do buru. Don't you tell me ko bra. Mumi Yamfan ko Dr. Man ho.
Dr. Man no ya de.
Bra, se banu no mpemu adwuma sasabro sro Dr. Man oye.
Say ni kemi kwa na meka. Oh no mpemu nimdi ono na ye expert nya zanfo no. O akra any Kumasi no mpemu expert yen kan kire.
You're still live on Good Morning Ghana on Metro Television. My name is Audu Moro, and I'm here with Ishaq Ibrahim. He's a law lecturer at UPSA and also a member of the MPP's Legal Directorate. He's here with us, and also with us this morning is Dr. Thomas Winsome Anaba, who is an MP for Gary. He's also a medical doctor. Now, Doc, I don't know why I keep calling Ishaq Doc. Yes. Well, Doc, I wish that someday he metamorphoses from
he's in our fraternity.
Yes, he becomes a full-fledged medical doctor. But before you give me your take, let me just read this from what's the name? Alhaji Hamza from Pig Farm. He's a regular viewer of the show, and I like to acknowledge that. So Alhaji Hamza from Pig Farm says, good morning, my brother. Permit me to use this platform this morning to say a very big thank you to the President of the land for the removal of those nuisance taxes. It goes a long way to help the poor Ghanaian in many ways, and I'm particularly happy that he made those promises during the campaign and he has fulfilled the promise. President Mahama has proven the doomsayers who said he could not do it, he could not do it. Today, the micro-minority are out there saying it is wrong for the president to do that. But if my memory serves me right, Dr. Mahmoud Bami also made the same promise during the campaign. So were they lying to Ghanaians or what? They can fool some people sometimes, but they cannot fool all the people all the time. Alhaji Hamza from Pig Farm sent that message. All right. E-levy, betting, emission taxes, they've all gone.
So I'll talk first of all tax.
But before you go ahead, let me say that the good news is that Dr. Thomas Anaba and what's the name? Ibrahim Shak have all promised that they are going to test whether indeed the e-levy has been scrapped or not. So they will send 2,000 Ghana cedis each. And then we will check and see whether the e-levy has been scrapped or not. So we're putting everything to test. So when they send, I'll show it to the public. But I'll send it back to them anyway. It's 2,000 each. So yes, and I'll also add Annie's number. Because I'll need Annie to prove whether indeed e-levy has been scrapped. Oh, you mean the crew? I'll find there's a whole crew that's waiting.
The sending back is...
Don't mind me, that's just by the by. Please go ahead, Ishak.
Yes, so with the e-levy, I think we welcome it. But I wouldn't congratulate the president for it. Okay. But I do welcome it. I'll tell you why.
Why won't you congratulate him?
No, we welcome it, but no congratulations.
Why?
Cancellation is very easy. So welcoming is a good news for Ghanaians. It's a big relief. Let me put it in the right perspectives. We welcome it because, you see, e-levy, I agree with my colleague that it was a very unpopular move. Even within the NPP, we were very divided as to why we should have such tax. As his writer said, when you look at the Ghanaian system, the informal sector is quite huge. One policy that will discourage the informal sector. And one way will be monetary policy, making people, instead of putting money under their bed, at least even if they are within the monetary system, banks can make good use of the money by giving it to people who really need it in a form of a loan. So that's one way it was what? Discouraging it. I was also against the policy because those taxes are not gotten from production. It is not production. So for example, if you were to use 1,000 and you keep transferring it from one person to the other, effectively the 1,000 will end without production taking place. Government and then the telecommunication companies will probably take the money and the banks. So we were against it. But I do understand why the finance minister said we needed it. We're facing an emergency. And he thinks the best way would have been e-levy could help cushion Ghanaians because other Ghanaians have taken that kind of burden. I do understand him in that respect. But nevertheless, I disagree the fact that it was implemented. And I would also admit it was one of the mistakes the MPP have made. And we identified that this was actually a mistake while we were still having power. This was why when the vice president had the opportunity to speak after becoming the flag bearer at the UPSA auditorium, he made it very clear. I think it was one of the first policy announcements he made that if he happens to be voted as the president, he was going to cancel e-levy. So whether it was MPP who comes to power or NDC, the expectation was that e-levy would be cancelled.
But before you go ahead,
yes,
what was your personal view about the introduction of e-levy?
Yeah.
I'm asking you personally as an MPP communicator.
No, I just said it was wrong because production hasn't taken place.
Okay.
You don't tax people unless you can point to the fact that
fair enough,
somebody has gotten additional wealth from somewhere in the form of production.
Fair enough.
Yes.
But you've been on this platform.
Yes.
Even when Randy was here.
Yes.
And
I've condemned it.
You condemned it?
Yes, yes. I
publicly.
Yes, I did. I'm one of the few people who speak my mind. I'm telling you, I've condemned within the MPP cycle. I've said it is wrong.
Really?
Yes. I mean, you can go for the archives.
Okay.
I remember here with NDC, and I made it very clear. So that time was when we announced it, while we were still in power. Not before it was introduced was when I came.
Okay.
But after the vice president had made the announcement, we were told that we had stolen that policy from the NDC. because they were also proposing cancelling it. So I even point to the fact that, look, before it was introduced, the vice president was noted to have said that E-levy was a bad idea before the introduction came in. But then, because of principles of, I suspect that the vice president wouldn't have even supported it when it was proposed in cabinet. But because of principles of collective responsibility, perhaps that is why he couldn't speak out to say that I'm against it. You see that? Because the cabinet operate within the principle of collective responsibility. Even if you disagree in cabinet, once something is agreed, I'm not saying that people shouldn't get me wrong. Maybe I might get attacked for it. I'm not saying the vice president have told me this. But I can predict he wasn't supporting it because of what he said previously before it was introduced. And immediately when he had the opportunity to campaign to become the president, what he said, that I'm going to describe it. It tells me that he didn't support it. So yes, I've always been against E-levy.
I asked that
and that's why I welcome it.
I asked that question because I needed to know whether you've been consistent.
Yeah. I'm very consistent.
Okay, so please go ahead. You're still saying that the president shouldn't take any credit.
So there's cancelling is very easy. Yes, cancelling is very easy.
Are you mindful?
He doesn't need to incur any expense to cancelling it. So we welcome it because it gives relief to Ghanaians. Because as we all agree, it was a very unpopular tax. But English people have their saying that the sweetness of the pudding is in the eating.
Okay.
So cancelling is not an issue. Now, where we wanted the president to have the courage was some of the promises the NDC have made to the people of Ghana when it comes to the environment. They made it very clear when the president had negotiation with organized labor. They suspended mining in forest reserves. And then they said that when Parliament had the opportunity to reconvene, they will be asked to repeal that particular bill. That was Akufo-Addo who was going. The NDC said, no, you can repeal it now. It is better you do it now because what the Galamsey was causing ecocide. In other words, there is the equivalent of genocide when it comes to people. So ecocide means a very bad thing. You now had the opportunity to correct what you deemed to be wrong. And you were asking organized labor not to accept the words of the president. You had the opportunity, you are amending it instead of repealing it. If mining in forest reserve is extremely bad during Akufo-Addo, it is equally bad when it comes to John Mahama administration. So we want you to repeal it. This was your social contract with Ghanaians.
But aren't you, by this submission, introducing some extraneous matters? Because we're talking about emissions tax, E-levy, betting tax, which have been scrapped. Now you brought in Galamsey.
The larger thing we are talking about, keeping promises of Ghana. He made mention of it. Yes. Keeping promises
but within the context,
and delivering.
Yeah, but it was within the context of specific promises that were made, right? And those promises that have been kept. We're not looking broadly speaking about all the promises that have been made and whether they've been kept.
Broadly about keeping
We're not there yet.
Where it matters most.
No, we're not there yet. Don't worry.
Where it matters most.
Yes, we'll get there.
So, okay. So
I noticed you have a lot of passion for Galamsey. So we'll introduce that as our next topic.
And then let's look at the betting tax, for example.
Okay.
This one, I'm not even sure whether I will welcome it because I am for betting tax.
Why?
Look, I mean, you know the issue. First of all, they say the probability of winning the lottery is almost as low as being struck by lightning. And gambling is one area that I think both Muslims and Christians agree is largely bad for us. Even though the NDC, again, when they were in opposition, they had the audacity to label some people as not being good Muslims. The lottery in Ghana is now led by a Sunni Muslim, apparently, who is now happy he forgot what the Quran said about gambling.
Who is that? Who's this Sunni Muslim you're talking?
Oh, the guy who is heading the National Lottery Authority.
Oh, Abdul Salam.
Yes, a Sunni Muslim. But then when they were in the opposition, they had the audacity to point to people for not being Muslim. Where they're heading gambling? So he needs to rethink about his Muslim faith because this is a clear injunction against you. Meanwhile, when people were interacting with the Christian community, something the Prophet encouraged when they migrated from Mecca to Medina, to coexist with your neighbor. What the vice president was saying, you had the audacity to criticize it. Now you are happily heading gambling. So the gambling tax, I don't agree with it. I think we ought to discourage the youth from gambling. There are other alternative ways they could do it. In other words, the same government is even robbing you more because the chances of winning is not there. And more or less the government removing it is encourage you to gamble more because they will give you the illusion that you keep all your winnings. So I think I have a problem in that area. But E-levy, I have no doubt. Emission tax, I'm not really sure where I stand in this. One, I don't understand how the tax was going to work. Okay. But across the world, most people are encouraging green energy. And we are also encouraging less pollution within the environment. Look at Beijing about 10 years ago. There was fog like this thing from fumes, from vehicles, everywhere. They transitioned very quickly to green energy. So this emission tax is almost like every city, every major city around the world is introducing it. I know London have it for specific vehicles, not every vehicle. And most of the cities are having it. So, but all this boils down to whether the president or the government will be able to get enough money for the development they have actually promised Ghanaians. So once you cancel them, as we've already said, you need to expand the tax network. We cannot develop Ghana principally on loans. Citizens will need to chip in as also part of their social contracts. Right. So I know that the government is working on a tightrope. So they have to find a way that the informal sector, how can they contribute? I think you touched on the E-levy. I don't think E-levy was the best way to get the, what they call it, the informal sector to contribute. Okay. And I think withholding tax could be another better way. As you said, if a plumber comes to work for you, elsewhere in the world, you are either required to report it, that somebody have done work for me, and I have paid them fully, or you will be required to deduct it and pay it directly to the government. I'm not sure whether Ghana it will work, because it might lead to plumbers exchanging blows with landlords. So we have to find a better way, because taxation is an issue that you have to internalize. Because yes, both giving money to a gunman and then and government sometimes is equivalent. I mean, you feel like it's robbery. But at least with the government collection, we can internalize it to say that, okay, while the government will use it to construct the road, the gunman will use it for other purposes. So we can internalize it. And maybe we need to embark on serious campaign in the informal sector. Or find a way that we just know where people's incomes are. I don't know the way. And withholding tax is one way that other countries have done it. Or make sure that, like in the UK, I think it's now compulsory for you to pick every worker through a bank account. So that's another way that we will know. So you could make sure that, for example, those people doing transactions, that rice seller, water seller, government could look into it by saying that instead of paying cash, when it comes to a particular services, do electronic transfer. Perhaps people knowing that government will get to know your income, maybe to encourage them to voluntarily make some payments. You see that? So they also have, in other countries, they have self-assessment, whereby by law, if you are doing business, every year, you have to self-assess yourself. Yeah. So if your self-assessment hasn't come, perhaps the tax authority will find a way, randomly check on some people. We haven't seen your tax assessment. Yeah. Maybe we saw it last year. Are you still in business? And perhaps you pay a visit to see where they are. And I think that is where we are also having problems. I understand those people who are usually sent to collect their money do private arrangement with those businesses. Okay. It's like that a percentage is given to them and the government will forget about the tax. So I think education is the proper way. Okay. Perhaps from primary school, secondary school, to the university level, we need to put emphasis. Now, if you want to see good roads, good schools, and other things, then this idea of paying tax will need to come naturally. So that I think through that way we'll get better. But loans alone to build modern Ghana, I doubt it. Okay. So Abdul-Razak from Medina says that, he says, good morning, my brother. I'm enjoying the discussion. I think Dr. Naba and Dr. Ishaka are a good pair. Please maintain this panel for Thursdays. Abdul-Razak from Medina. I don't know whether the two of them agree with you. This one from Sirak in Tamale, who says that, good morning, Moro. My beloved late Jerry Rollins once came
to the Tamale Teaching Hospital for checkup and treatment when he was a sitting president. So why can't some of our leaders do same? That's coming from Iraq in Tamale. Doc, you have some rebuttals?
My brother said very good things about the president repealing some bills, but I think that the Galamsey side, he pushed too hard. I don't think that JM has reneged on his promise about the mining in the forest. I think that we have seen and we've heard and we've seen videos how the Minister for Land and Natural Resources have taken the fight to the forest and liberated almost all the forest that was being degraded by Galamseyers. They are trying to modify, perhaps tweak the bill to see how best we can all benefit from it without polluting the waters. In every country,
except that the criticisms that has faced is that this was not what you promised. But before you go ahead, there's an update on the Galamsey file. So let me just read it so that I can put all of that in perspective. So there's fight against mining in forest reserve. If you look at the back page of today's daily graphic, Timothy Ngengbe, he reports that at least 76 persons have been arrested by a joint security team comprising the military, police, and rapid response team of the Forestry Commission for mining in forest reserve over the past 6 weeks. Within the same period, the swoops by the joint security team led to the confiscation of 100 excavators, 3 bulldozers, 4 pickup vehicles, and other equipment used by the illegal miners. The Chief Executive Officer of the Forestry Commission, Dr. Hughes Brown, who made this known to the Daily Graphic last Tuesday, said the special operations were carried out largely in the Ofin Shelter Belt Forest Reserve in the Ashanti region, the Plao Hills Forest Reserve, the Arianso South Forest Reserve, and the Arianso East Forest Reserve. Is the Bui River. I think I've never heard of Sui River. I think it's Bui. Yes, I think it's Bui River. Forest Reserve, the Stano Anya Forest Reserve, all in the Western North region. The Yoyo River Forest Reserve, the Boyne River Forest Reserve, and the Subri River Forest Reserve in the Western region. Dr. Brown said 76 people who were arrested during the operations have been handed over to the police for prosecution in accordance with the Minerals and Mining Act 2019, while the excavators have been put in the custody of the local assemblies within which the forest districts fell. However, the Forest Commission CEO said 40 excavators which were seized by the security team in the Forest Reserve had gone back into the hands of the illegal miners. What happens is that the illegal miners, remove the control board of some of the excavators, making it difficult to move the machines to low beds. When this happens and the security team is unable to immediately move the excavators, you go back to the following day and the machines are gone. Can you imagine? Now, it is in this regard that we are appealing to the President to modify the directive to the security men not to ban excavators. The directive should be revised so that when they find it difficult to move any excavators out, they should be banned to prevent the equipment from being taken over by the illegal miners. Okay, I have something to say, but quickly. Release of excavators. On Sunday, March 22 this year, the Forestry Commission and Chief Police arrested Wisdom Amuzu and 3 others for mining illegally in the Boyne River Forest Reserve. The team impounded 2 excavators found in the Forest Reserve, processed them for court, and confiscated equipment. However, a court magistrate, Lawrence Bueno Bue, granted the suspect a bail and gave an order to the Forestry Commission to allow the applicant, Wisdom Amuzu, to evacuate the excavator and other equipment from the Forest Reserve to a place of his choice. He further directed that excavation should be done within 3 days under the supervision of the Anti-District Police Commander. Touching on the release of the 2 excavators to illegal miners by the magistrate, Dr. Brown said that development was a big blow to the fight against illegal mining. He said the Forestry Commission would not rest on that issue but would seek further action. I have referred the matter to the legal team of the Commission, and the next line of action will be taken as soon as possible. So these are some of the challenges that they are facing with the fight against Galamsey. But speaking about banning the excavators, because when you take the control board out of the excavator, you can't operate it. Okay. But like the report said, once you come back the following day, you come back and realize that the control board has been fixed and the car has been moved.
Yeah, they've looked for another control board.
There was a banning excavator policy under the MPP administration. We kicked against it. We were fiercely against it. But now it begins to look like there was some in banning those excavators. Because I also felt that, look, we can put those excavators to better use. Go to Medina, Adenta, and all these places where excavators are needed to,
even rural communities.
Even the rural communities.
Why we need to open.
But if we continue to do this where we're playing hide and seek with authorities, then what option then do you leave
for that. But anyway, let me just...
So I think that the fight for Galamsey is well tackled, and I think we should commend the government and the Minister for Land and Natural Resources for the good job they are doing. At least all this revelation we are hearing, they are getting to know the tricks about those people who do illegal mining. At least they've arrested several of them, see several excavators. They've gotten to know that they try to take their motherboards out, and when they go away, they come and fix them. Now you can't take it out. And they will monitor you very well. I think the issue at Senchi, or is it Enchi?
Enchi.
I think the judge resented the decision. Because yesterday I heard him say that he has reversed that decision. Because I think he got a public outcry and backlash was not good for him. So it was reversed for them to keep the excavated until a judgment is made about their illegal money in the forest and in the rest. But for sure, with time, we have still not 120 days. And we are still not even 1 year. If the government thinks that he has to review the policy, the bill, and bring it, and it should be in a way that it should benefit Ghanaians, why not? The fight against people mining the forest is ongoing, and very few people, or virtually no one again, is mining in the forest. If there's any, we are here to discover. But for now, everybody knows that we are fighting mining in the forest. If you pass, if you had several bills to bring to Parliament, you bring them one by one. You get consensus from the people, because all those who had authorization to go and mine in the forest went through several processes. If you also just do abrupt halt of it, sometimes it may affect their businesses. Even though I know very well they are not mining in the forest again. It's just left with the bill to be relooked at, reviewed, and then either we pass it, or if it comes to Parliament and we think that it is not inuring any benefit to Ghanaians and the environment, then we take a decision about it. So for sure, JM is not relenting in fighting Galamsey and in fighting mining in the forest. Definitely there will be something good, positive, to come out of that bill when it is reviewed.
Okay.
That's not what we hear. The government is proposing amending the bill.
Yeah.
What we are told officially from the government is not that all mining in the forest is going to be stopped. They have stopped issuing new mining licenses, but existing one will continue to mine. But the point that we are talking about is principles of consistency. In opposition, you said that aspect was bad and that it was ecocide. This is now time to rise up to the leadership mantle that you were criticizing, and you were saying organized labor should not agree. So we want him to repeal it, as he promised. But amending it will not work, because the name ecocide still remains. That is bad to mine in the forest reserves and water bodies. So yes, and some of your tune have also changed. We now hear that it is the laws are there. It is a police responsibility to enforce. You know, I mean, in one way, in government, this was what we always said, that there is adequate law, but we have problem with enforcement of those laws. And some of the security service that are sent there, they become part of the problem. So we just want you people to become to be clear to Ghanaians about this. And when there's a need to apologize, you apologize. But to say that all is good, there's no problem, because we know that the security services, some of them are part of the problem. You send them over there, and then they go there and then form partnership with the very people they are meant to chase away. So for me, if we wanted to really succeed, we try and take politics out of it completely and look at it holistically. How can we clean up our water bodies? As I said, mercury in the water body, you are a medical personnel, long-time cancer problems. And then can you imagine foreign substance being in your system? So yes, that aspect. So we don't want to be shortchanged. But so far, you are acting like a corn government when it comes to Galamsey. So we want that aspect to be clear.
Right. I for one, am against mining in the forests.
Thank you. Tell the president.
Yes, I'm against mining in the forest, and if it is done in a way that it will contaminate our waters and deplete our trees, our vegetation, I'll be against it. But once you have to know that the president and his men have more information than I have. Perhaps those they have allowed to mine, if only it is true, perhaps they are doing it responsibly. Perhaps they are doing it responsibly. Perhaps. So let's give him the benefit of the doubt. and let's really cruise in to see whether the people who do illegal mining, they pollute the whole place. I'm not standing in to protect my government for allowing mining to go in the forest, but I'm saying that we know very well that a lot of people now have been chased out of the forest, and the land minister told us that several forest reserves that were occupied by armed men have been chased out. They have reclaimed all those forests, and no mining is taking place. The places that they are still mining, about 4 places, perhaps there's a reason why. So I don't have details about that, but I think that it should be for a very justifiable reason. That is why they are still in those places. So for the benefit of the doubt of listeners, I don't have much information about it, but I don't think that the government is reneging on its effort to ban mining that contaminates our rivers and pollute our environment.
Right.
Yes.
I think one of these days, and perhaps I'm sure that Annie will work on this, we probably will need the Lands and Natural Resources Minister himself to be here on Good Morning Ghana so that we can get an update on the efforts that are being made to repeal LI 2462. And the debate, as you have monitored, has to do with granting or taking away the president's discretion in granting mining licenses to persons who are mining in forest reserves. And the president says he doesn't want to have anything to do with that. But of course, the opposition will also tell us that no, you were not just interested in an aspect of it, you wanted the entire LI 2462 to be repealed. So what has changed? So maybe when we were able to get the Lands and Natural Resources Minister here in the studio to help us educate why there appears to be a bit of a shift in position, which is that instead of a total ban or a total repeal, now we're looking at amending it. And Doc, I appreciate your level of sincerity, which is not something you've really taken time to follow and study. And so when the Lands and Natural Resources Minister comes here, we'll look at that. So I guess that we can move on. We can move on and look at, we're still tracing our missing containers. Okay. Containers are missing at the port. ECG containers are missing. We're still tracing it. The Energy Minister has been very busy trying to locate these containers, but it appears he's making some progress, albeit steady and not and insufficient. And it appears that he himself is very frustrated about the extent of or the success that he's struck, because it appears people are playing hide and seek about this container matter. So if you look at today's daily guide, and we'll do this briefly because we have just about 10 minutes, 10, 15 minutes to go. So it says that ECG container scandal sparks a blame game. And that story is on page 6 of today's paper. It says that, so Ernest Kofi is reporting that the controversy surrounding the disappearance of Electricity Company of Ghana ECG containers at the Tema Port has sparked a blame game, with various political and corporate figures weighing in on the matter. The scandal, which involved the disappearance of 1,346 containers consigned to ECG, has led to intense scrutiny and demands for accountability. Now, in a formal complaint to the Ghana Port and Harbours Authority, ECG's former managing director, Samuel Dubik Mahama, detailed that at least 5 containers of electricity meters supplied by L&R Investment and Trading Company Limited were auctioned without ECG's notice. The goods said to have been shipped between July 2017 and December 2018, according to a letter, remained at the port due to contractual disputes between ECG and the supplier. Now, in the said letter, ECG insisted that the auction was conducted without following proper procedures and called for the annulment of the auction, citing concerns that the illicit sale of the meters could lead to further commercial losses for the company. Now, amid the scandal, the old Tafo Member of Parliament, Eko Vincent Asefwa, is defending a former Energy Minister, Dr. Matthew Poku-Prempeh, also known as Napo, stating that Napo, I know, will never be involved in such a scandal. Mr. Asefwa asserted that the former minister had no knowledge of the auction of the missing containers, dismissing attempts to link him to the issue. Meanwhile, a statement from GPHA dated February 9, 2023 acknowledged ECG's complaint and confirmed that the authority was engaging the Ghana Revenue Authority to explore recovery options. However, sources within the government have said the lack of transparency surrounding the auction process has fueled speculation and further, controversy. Now, according to sources, the scandal has been further complicated by conflicting reports regarding the total number of missing containers. They indicated that a memo released by the opposition MPP indicates that the ECG and GRA had identified 5 auctioned containers in 2022 and 2023, though there was no concrete proof of a legitimate auction. The sources indicate, however, that a later technical audit under the current administration found that of 3,000 ECG containers supposedly at the September port, 1,346 were unaccounted for. They said this revelation had raised questions about whether the previous administration knowingly misrepresented the actual number of containers at the port during the transition meetings in December 2024. The public remains outraged over the lack of clarity and accountability surrounding the missing ECG containers. One source asserted that whether the containers were auctioned, stolen, or misappropriated, the central issue remains critical. Electricity infrastructure funded by taxpayer has disappeared under questionable circumstances. And we also showed you videos sometime this week where the energy minister himself was going around some, factories where we've seen some of these, items being put to use, converted into all kinds of products.
Yeah.
What are your brief thoughts on this? Because we don't have a lot of time.
For me, I cry for Ghanaians.
Okay.
Our resources wasted because we can't spend money to go and buy all these things, come and put them at the port, and they find their way out. Yeah. It's not like an apple that you can take and put in your bag and go out. We have officials at the port, we have ECG staff, and containers can just get missing. This is where I think that our national security should really do something, and I think they are doing something. Perhaps previous officials were not doing it right, if I'm not mistaken. For this to happen to Ghana, where villages need cables for electrification and we don't have, where the power producing companies are producing in excess and we have to pay for what we can use, and there's no cable to extend power to villages for them to buy it and relieve ECG of the debt that they are incurring. As if we are starving ourselves. I really commend the Minister for Energy, and I hope that the perpetrators must be brought to book to pay for all this. But what I'm sad is about that company that we saw them melting the cables into other products. I say, if we can't find the rest of the cables, we should calculate how many cables they can melt in a day and see how much that might have gotten before to melt. And that company, to me, should be even responsible to pay for all the cables that
apparently said they've been in business for a long time.
So it means that they've been dealing with us, they've been destroying us, they've been making a lot of profit from ECG, and a lot of people need to be brought to book because this cannot be done by one person, like they said. I think Afayoma Case, the minority leader, said it right, and I would say I congratulate him for his boldness that people are conniving. He said it. The officials of ECG, customs, and whatever are conniving, and they are leaving it to politicians to fight themselves. Let's come together and also make sure that those people who are conniving and duping the country are dealt with without any pity, without any mercy, because this is not acceptable. The rot is too much in ECG. ECG is not making money. They say they are making losses. Greatco is having problems. Power producers are having problems. And the cables that are to send the power to sell and give them the money, we're also selling it to people to use them as scrap. That company is a wicked company. I think that they should have had national security invade that facility a long time ago. Or even Ghanaians working there should have been patriotic enough to report that company. Because if I'm working in a company like this, and I see they are bringing cables and melting them and exporting them, as a patriot, as a Ghanaian working there, I prefer to report them than to stay there to make a salary just to feed my family when all Ghanaians are suffering the consequences of what they are doing. So I think that there's really serious involvement of top officials in the country that have enabled this dubious process to take part, this criminal activity to take place in Ghana regarding the ECG cables theft. Yeah.
Ishak, do you agree with those who say that if there's any blame, we should put it right at the doorstep of the chaps who work at customs and leave ECG alone? Because ECG is not in. They are the ones who are policing, the the containers, and that it is customs. So leave the ECG guys alone out of this.
I think it's too early to blame anybody.
Okay.
And that is why I don't approve the way the current minister is dealing with the problem.
Okay.
You see, for us to be able to, he's playing politics with it. For us to be able to apportion blame, let's investigate thoroughly and look at the facts. Then we can apportion blame. I listened to Dubik yesterday, Samuel Dubik, the former managing director of ECG. He had an interview with TV3. He made it clear nobody has even spoken to him. Nobody. The committee or whatever investigation they did, nobody has spoken to him. He made it very clear. No, he said it. He said it. In relation to it, he said nobody has spoken to him.
Okay.
TV3. So, do thorough investigation. We look at the facts, then we can apportion blame. And for me, the issue of the missing containers, we should treat it as pure criminality, regardless of party colors. If you investigate, you find out. And as the writer says, sometimes the revenue authorities auction things that find their way. But I don't agree with him the way he said we should deal with that company. In law, we don't deal with things that way. He could be an innocent receiver. How do you punish somebody who is an innocent receiver? You can't. So let's find out on what circumstances were they sold to him. Were they aware that those items have been stolen? We have something we call equity dialogue. If I'm not aware something has been stolen, maybe the law requires me to do due diligence before I buy. If I do due diligence and my due diligence are correct, where have I gone wrong? So let's be very careful the way we say.
But shouldn't you be proving whether indeed you did due diligence?
That is what I said, and that is why at the end of the investigations, perhaps a court would probably be able to find it. So if after investigation you accuse them of theft, you are not taking them to court. And the court system, but he says,
we must accuse them first.
Should have invaded
so that they'll be
the
taken to court.
Yes.
So
that is why I said it's just too early to know.
Freshly packed iron cables.
It's just too early to know who is at fault. Proper investigation can pin it down. And when we find those people, let's take away the party colors and treat them as pure what? Criminality. But if you blame Matthew Pokun Prempe, then you rise to blame the big when you say nobody has even spoken to me. And then the people will push back and blame the current minister. I mean, as I said, there's something really wrong. It will not be one person who have taken these things. Because they said for such containers to be taken away, national security ought to be aware. The port authorities need to be aware. ECG authorities need to be aware. Before we know there's collusion between various groups. So if you don't do proper investigation, and the first time you see things missing, you're blaming one side, there will be a pushback. Before the lie, we'll be pushing back to each other, and the actual culprit will vanish. So,
but you see, I'm still wondering.
Yes.
Are these containers really missing? Or this is just a matter of poor inventory taking?
From what the big have said, he said he'll be surprised if they are missing. He said it's very likely they are still at the port. So he believed that at some point they couldn't claim some items, and the revenue authority have auctioned some of those items. But with a large number, he'll be very surprised.
Yes.
And as he said,
to physically move these containers.
As ECG managing director, you cannot even blame him. Because he doesn't know the nitty-gritty of the work. So for me, the leadership can only even be blamed if there's a policy failure. Maybe you were meant to do this to safeguard them if you fail to do that. But if a watchman is going and take a cable home, how is the managing director going to be blamed?
A container?
No, I'm just saying, giving an example.
Right, yeah,
sometimes we just blame the leadership too for no reason. It could just be workers have colluded and take something and say, let's make good use of this. Especially during the transition period. You see that people will probably think, okay, let me take this along. So I don't think let's be quick in punishing foreigners. Once upon a
Moro,
time,
I'm not quick in punishing foreigners.
If
you're a scrap dealer, you deal in scarce scrap, and somebody brings a Lexus for you to scrap.
Yes.
You question yourself.
Of course.
Yes.
Is this person normal?
Yeah.
You see a brand new box of cables in the container they bring to you.
As scrap.
As scrap. And you buy. And you know that government will even buy it. If you send it to government, they will buy it because they are importing it. Yes. And you are using it as scrap to export it. That is why I say the company.
They are innocent.
They are never innocent. Well, they are not innocent.
No. If you start that way, that's where we have a problem. As a human rights activist, as a human rights lawyer, let's start from the premises that everybody is innocent.
Okay, good.
Because you mentioned a certain principle in law. You said something dialing.
Which one?
You mentioned a certain principle in law.
Equity dialing.
Equity dialing.
An innocent receiver.
An innocent receiver.
Yes, the law protects an innocent receiver.
But we then would have to define
whether he was innocent.
Indeed, whether a person was innocent.
Well, that's why I say in buying things that are usually second-hand, you will probably have a duty of due diligence. If you have done your due diligence checks,
then you qualify as an innocent buyer.
Yes.
Or receiver.
Yeah, an innocent receiver.
These steel companies, you see somebody brings a plate that is supposed to be used, a cover for a gutter.
Yes.
It is written there, Ghana Water Company. If you buy it from that person, you cannot be innocent.
Yes.
These boxes that came with ECGs indicators on them.
What about if
how do you say you are an innocent buyer? I don't see anywhere that factory owner should be innocent.
Honorable, because like I was concluding very fast. I'm not concluding. Lawmaker, you have put those safeguards.
Look at the items. I'm speaking like all Ghanaians.
Yeah. And how do you describe?
Lawyers have your own teams exonerating sometimes criminals
as scrap.
Yes.
How?
So let's do proper investigation. Let's not.
I agree with you. I mean, we need it. After the investigations,
the public talking will also put the judges in a way that they will know that we are serious about the issue.
But that is bad.
That's not bad.
I don't want you. No. If what you say would influence the judge, then we are really having a problem.
The judge is also a Ghanaian, and he's happening from
the judges need to look at the case impartial.
All right.
But if your objectives of talking about it is influence, then that's really bad.
Okay, so Mansa Musa from the UK, he has his own show. He runs there, and he has his own media station.
Yes.
A regular view of the show.
Okay.
He says the managing director of ECG cannot be blamed. Interesting. The former ECG MD says containers don't get missing, but containers can get misplaced. Really? A managing director, are these the sorts of people we have in Africa? No wonder Trump wants to turn off the freebie stuff, and we're frightened. A company's assets are found in other people's foundries. Cables being melted away, and a former MD can only assure us that these containers are not missing but misplaced. Some of us will have to be reminded about the firing squad from time to time. Good morning from Mansa Musa, Voice of London Radio. That's Ishak's favorite radio station. He listens to anytime he goes to UK. Musa from Abattoir. Musa Abattoir, sorry, Nasawasi says, Mr. Isaku's comments seem disingenuous. While he's quick to welcome the president's decision to abolish the E-levy, he conveniently overlooks the fact that it was President Mahama himself who took the bold step to implement the decision. This selective acknowledgement comes across as hypocrisy and dishonesty. He should backtrack his comment and offer a public apology for failing to commend the very leader behind the positive change. President Mahama deserves recognition for his leadership in cancelling the E-levy, a betting tax and emission tax. I wish the vice president a speedy recovery. And finally, okay, this one I will not read. It's okay. All right. So I want to thank you very much for your time, Dr. Thomas Winsome. I hope I got it correctly now. Winsome Anaba. He's the MP for Garu, and also my soon-to-be law lecturer. That's UPSA law lecturer. Mr. Ishak Ibrahim, also a member of the NPP's legal directorate. He said he'll test the E-levy this morning. He'll test it. We'll see whether it works or not. But MTN has said they cannot until they get the directive from the Bank of Ghana. It's the Bank of Ghana that regulates the fintech aspect of their job.
I've seen some letters flying, so
they'll
get it.
Oh, they'll get it.
They
okay.
Get it fast.
All right. So those of us who are on that network, we are waiting. Anyway, so thanks for watching. And also to you, the viewer, thank you very much for watching Good Morning Ghana. And I hope you enjoyed it on 94.1 as well. Have a great day. Thank you. See you tomorrow, inshallah.
On board.
Proposal answer. Okay, the data. And then so you about opportunities for cry. The bow, first day soon. I have a see on my wash it. Ama, I've never seen soon point. As you look at you soon and then money. That's how hands come home. What he said, I had a say now. A channel, and I handle a human. You should have seen the same bank. You soon And I saw my washing machine. I go. What an over.
Jesus Christ loves you, and greater love hath no man. Because of his love, he opens the way. He opens eyes, ears, and minds. Open your heart and experience General Conference of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and feel his love. Greater love.
Premium shall we place on our health? Is it to wait and get hit with a condition? Or on a daily basis, how do we check the body before health slips away? Living Well is the lifestyle series that will help you get tips to some health issues. My name is Ethel Poplampo. Join me every Saturday at 10 a.m. on Metro TV for the Living Well show.